Good morning. It's funny because, my last name is Iloff. It's actually kind of hard to pronounce. If you look at it, it's Ihloff. And I've gotten everything from Ihaloff to Eloff to, whatever, Inhoff, sometimes people say. And so I was trying to make my name easy. Came up with this YouTube name because I'm very much into heart-centered, practical spirituality and loving people and trying to find ways to. I think this trend of sort of, you might call it woo-woo spirituality has sort of maybe gotten a little bit old, but obviously the spiritual path never gets old. It's eternal. It's a thing that's been going on for thousands of years. And, anyway, so I had a lull there. I'm actually recovering from being sick right now. I promised myself I was going to post every day. It's something I've wanted to do, this YouTube channel thing, for a long, long time. And when I make a commitment to something, I commit to it. And so I'll get back to the name thing in a second. But, once I committed to getting sober for a year on New Year's Eve, and I did it, and I felt incredible. And I was going to have a drink the next New Year's Eve to celebrate. And I just went about 5 or 6 more months after that. And then I had a beer at a party and started drinking again. It just didn't feel good by comparison. So over 5 years ago now, I got sober again. And I feel absolutely incredible. And I love seeing that so many people are actually getting sober now. I mean, it's like a thing. There's like this sober curious thing. And I quit trying. At first, I think one thing that caused me to drink again was I just thought, well, I'm not an alcoholic, and only alcoholics should be sober. It kind of seemed like that. But I don't think that's so true anymore either. It's kind of like the spirituality thing. It's taking a turn. It's changing. People are actually starting to get sober because they want more intuition and the spiritual dimension to their lives, which can't be had with intoxicants. And hallucinogens are another thing. I was very into smoking marijuana. I'm a musician. I was in bands. We called it wake and bake. We smoked 24 hours a day all the time. And when I didn't have weed, I felt a little disabled. We would cancel band practice and stuff if we didn't have weed. I couldn't function really without it. And then I got into having kids and everything that happened, like kids want to go throw the football, okay, hang on a second. I'd have to run out to the garage. And it started to get kind of ridiculous. And so, we had a pretty sky there, don't we? It was a beautiful day. There's no wind out here. It kind of looks cold. It's a little chilly. I'm not sure what the temperature is, but it's pretty nice in Tulsa today. So, hallucinogens. I did not realize marijuana is a hallucinogen, and it's actually a thought hallucinogen, I call it. That's my unprofessional term, but unscientific maybe. But the reason I say that is because I think that a lot of people get ideas. I started to spiritualize drugs. I remember thinking that the harder the drug, the bigger the hallucination, the more I was peering into other dimensions. And I realize now it's pretty simple, actually. If you just think about the definition of a hallucination, it literally is an illusion by definition. That's just what it is. And so so that hit me. And a guy named Havava, who I was born in 1972, he dropped his body 3 years earlier in 1969. And he entered my life. That's a whole other video, but he was the one that kind of woke me up and helped me understand this about hallucinogens. He went around in the 60s talking about how he wanted people to quit doing LSD and all this stuff. And, he also admitted that they have medicinal purposes these drugs, but they're not spiritual. There's no real spiritual value there. And I can see one tiny, to give him a little credit, there was one tiny thing that I will give marijuana credit for, which was it helped me to see that my perception was not the ultimate perception, that it was not the only perception. And so there's some value there, because up until I had a shift in perception, I thought my perception was reality. You know, growing up, that's what you think. You're a kid, you're totally immersed. And that's what I think God is doing here as us, is having an experience, wanting to be a dancer or a singer or a musician. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about the fact that to be all-knowing, you would actually have to know ignorance? Think about that. So it's like any great actor or playing a role-playing game or anything like that, to really thoroughly embody the character, you have to kind of forget who you are. And I think that's what God is doing with each one of us. So I haven't forgotten about the name thing. It's kind of funny. I was telling my wife that I was doing this, and she said, "Oh, really? I want to check out some of your videos." So, I've only posted, today's January 4th or 5th. What is today? Let's see, the 4th, I think. Yeah. So this will be the 4th video, and I'm not getting a lot of views yet. I'm actually kind of enjoying the early stages of this YouTube channel because of the freedom. And also, I've heard a lot of YouTubers say their first videos sucked, and it wasn't until after about 1,000 videos that they started getting some views. And whatever, I'm not doing it for the views. I'm doing it for the connection and the community, and that's why I'm here. And so that's another video probably, but that's really where I'm at in life. In a way, I've probably been having an over 10-year midlife crisis. Maybe we're getting close to 20, I don't know, but I'm not a corporate guy. It's not what I'm made for, even though I have a corporate job. I love this being yourself stuff too. You're walking through the park here with a gimbal, and here comes some people down the path that I would normally just say hi to, because that's what we do in Tulsa. And hi. See, that's what we do. And anyway, so it's great. I really believe we each have an authentic purpose here. I think this technology is amazing. I said that in one of my other videos, and that it's really beautiful to be able to step into authenticity, and it's so much easier to find your tribe now than it used to be. I mean, think about it. When I was growing up before the internet, how would I do this? First of all, I didn't have this gimbal. I didn't have these phones and this microphone and all this stuff I'm using to create these videos. But how would I get it out? How would I reach people? This is amazing. All I have to do is make this commitment to being here and talking on camera with you guys to find the right people, the people resonate. And so I love that. My corporate job that I actually still have, that I'm wanting to leave, is in advertising, and it's a fun job. It's marketing, and I kind of forgot where I was going with that. Like I said, I hadn't been feeling well, and there it was. There's a little lapse in my, maybe it'll come back to me. But coming back to the name thing, I got on with my wife, got on, and she searched up Benevolent, because I was trying to be clever with the name, because my last name's so odd. And there's a band called Benevolent. There's a YouTube channel called Benevolent, and there is a Spotify channel by this guy too, and so that's already been done. And it's funny because that can really, for a moment there, it was a little discouraging. It's kind of like the hour is late, but what does that mean? The hour is late. It's never late. It's always now. That was a revelation that came this morning, was that the past, the energy that I'm presenting, is actually just a record of the past. So it's a building. Hey, how you doing?
Quite different.
It's good to see you. Quite different, this? Yeah, gimbal. Yeah, see, Tulsa's a nice place, man. We got people just saying hi all over the place. So, hey, enjoy your walk. That's funny. So, Anyway, so I'm going to be renaming this channel something. I'm working on thinking about that. Any suggestions, if anybody's seeing this and they want to put that in the comments, that'd be amazing. So anyway, I got a few ideas. I've started a lot of YouTube channels, but I haven't really locked down on one because this goes back to that authenticity thing. And I know I just jumped from another subject that I was on before I got distracted there about the past. And I think that's another video actually. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, and I will talk about that because I journal every day and I journaled extensively about that this morning for an idea. And I know that's something I want to share. I'm kind of running out of steam. And now I'm standing in the middle of a field and it feels really good out here. And all these YouTube channels that I've tried to start have always tried to have some theme and then I guess somewhere in the back of my mind, there's always this like, how do I make money on this thing? And the thing is I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because it's who I am. I'm doing this because I had a God experience when I was really young. I was raised in this loving, agnostic family. And because I was so safe to explore, I was laying in bed one night and God shows up. And I don't know how to describe that other than it's a presence that I had a communication with and I developed a relationship with over time. It took a little bit of time to get that trust going because I was actually really nervous about that. Not nervous, that wasn't the right word. I just didn't trust it. I thought it was maybe I was schizophrenic, or also I was into role-playing games as a kid. So I thought, you know what? I'm smart enough to be pretending to be both of these voices. I could totally be tricking myself right now into believing that that I'm having a conversation with God. And ironically, as I've gotten older, that voice has revealed to me that it is me, it is my higher self, and that I actually, going back to the hallucination thing with the drugs, I don't know who I am. And I can't find who I am through, we're going to bring this full circle now. This is going to be good. I can't find myself through drugs, okay? I can only find myself through truth, because truth, reality, that's what I am. What else would I be? I'm not a lie, so I'm the truth. And it's like Jesus says, what do you say? I'm the truth, I'm the life, and the way, right? Or was it, I always get confused because I wasn't raised Christian, but is it the truth, the light, and the way? It's the life, isn't it? And it's true. He is the truth, the life, and the way. And that is what I am, right? What else could I be? I can feel the life inside me. I know I'm being truthful. I'm being honest. And that's got to be the way. That's got to be the way. So that's why I feel so passionate about this. That really is the core of what I'm doing here, making these videos. This isn't to make money. It's not to get likes. It's not to get subscribers. It's to show up in this way every day. And I want to kind of close with this. This morning, I have a lovely, lovely marriage. My wife is incredible. I love her. She's my best friend. She's my partner. I feel very blessed to be in that relationship with her. And when we spend time together, we're both into the same kind of things. We're both musicians. We both love to connect with God. We love to sing. We love to meditate. We love community. We love a lot of things. And when I spend time with her, like I did this morning, I get revelation. And I started to think about this word, Revelationships. And that's another video that I will definitely be making. What are your relationships? Are your relationships revelationships? Maybe is a better way to put it. Because if you're feeling inspired, and the late great Wayne Dyer talks about this, inspiration, the word spirit, S-P-I-R, right there. Information is form, thought forms, mental, it comes from the mind. Inspiration comes from the Spirit. And if you're in a relationship, you're going to continually experience revelation, right? You are going to have that kind of life where, because of the freedom and the love you experience and the growth and the practical spirituality that's involved in that relationship and those dynamics, you'll have relationships. So I can say that daily, almost, I receive some form of revelation through my relationship that I revel in with my beautiful wife. Yeah, I think that's it. So that feels like a good place to close this. I also obviously love to talk. So I know this is going to work because I've just walked completely around the park. I've been talking for almost 16 minutes now, and I feel like I could just keep going. I live for this. And going back to that relationship principle, I just want to kind of touch on this. If you think about it, like, what is your life like? What are the people like that you're around? And that really does, you have to take your job into consideration, because if you are spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week at a job with people that you don't like, how is that going to inspire you to have inspiration and therefore revelation? So revelation comes from inspiration, and you cannot, I don't want to say you cannot. It makes it more difficult for me personally. That's been my experience. Hope I'm not touching my microphone there. That's been my experience, is it's more difficult to have revelation when I'm not feeling inspired. And so we have to really look at those things. And then we have to look at, I have to look at why have I held on to this job for so long? Why did I stay there when I'm not feeling the relationships happening there? And I can tell you, it's fear. It's because I'm a dad. It's because I've got kids. It's because I'm the provider for them. It's because my wife is such a beautiful source of relationship for me that I don't want her to have to do the same thing I'm doing. Because if two of us are going to jobs that make relationship really challenging, that's going to challenge our relationship. And I want to make sure she stays inspired. But this world we live in with this technology, the fact that we can do these things for free now, this is amazing. This means that we can show up as our authentic selves, find our people, and support each other. And there's all kinds of people out there. And just let people have those communities, right? People need love, and through love, through community, they'll find love. And if somebody is operating from a dark, low vibe kind of life, and they connect with other people that are dark, low vibe, if people will leave them alone and allow that to happen, I truly believe they will find revelation through their own suffering, because their suffering, because God is love, their suffering is customized to bring them into an awakened state. It's going to make them suffer in just the right way to where eventually they're going to get sick of it. They're going to get tired of it, and they're going to want the suffering to end, and they're going to wake up, and they're going to want to start hanging out with more high vibe people, which is what's happened to me. I want to hang out with high vibe people. And it's funny, I was talking to a dear friend of ours, Krista, with Sharla last night, and Sharla said, my wife, Sharla, she said, lay low, vibe high. And I love that, because I don't need to get involved, right, with other people's crap. So if some low vibe people, they form a community, why do we try to stop it? Why do we jump into their thing, right? We don't need to take a bath in those vibes. We need to stay high vibe and lie low, like a valley where all the water flows into the valley. And where does it flow from there? It flows into rivers. And where do those rivers flow? They flow into the ocean. So thanks for hanging out with me. I love you guys. Lay low, vibe high. And I hope you revel in your relationships today. Take care.